Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Andy Walker, welcome back to the Missing Links Golf Show. What are we up to now? Is this episode 65?
Yeah, we're in our mid-60s.
Retirement age.
It is.
That's an omen.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. Wow, quite amazing. Interesting background. For those listening on the podcast, you obviously can't see the background on Andy's video, but once we eventually get this on YouTube, you might be able to see it. Where are you coming to us from, Andy Walker?
So decided to do a bit of travelling and, just standing on the 12th tee here at Augusta National.
Looks like a beautiful day.
It is. Stunning day, actually.
I think you could say it's picture perfect.
Yeah, it's very still. Like there's not a lot of wind.
Yeah, very still. Excellent. Nice addition. I'm glad that you finally figured out how to do a Zoom background.
Well, after all of the, the books and, the paraphernalia that I have been had in the background, now that I've actually moved and in a new room, and I thought that having a picture of Augusta National is better than just a white wall.
Are you trying to tell me something there?
Not at all. You've got your walk-in robes and a couple of handles there, and
yeah, it's nice.
Looks good.
Yeah, all right. I might look into that myself. But Andy Walker, there's a bit to get through tonight. There's a few interesting updates for the Pilgrims. Definitely a few things to talk about. But I do want to start with the voice of the Pilgrims.
Okay.
I think is a good place to start.
Yeah, look, there was a lot that we covered last week and the week before. So, yeah, it'd be good to hear what the Pilgrims have thought. Yeah,
well, I mean, there was a lot in the last episode, and certainly you shocked a few people, I think, with your revelations about cold showers and breathing exercises and mindfulness and all those sorts of things, which was amazing. But I got an email from friend of the show, former guest of the show, Mick Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
Mick says this. He says, "Hey, Steve, I have to say I did like the show today." Now, bear in mind, Mick has been on the bandwagon and into us quite regularly about our approach to meditation and our resistance. So I'm not surprised that he enjoyed it.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, that's right. But Mick goes on to say, "I forget the guest's name that you had on the show, but he spoke really well about mindfulness, breathing, and meditation. I did, however, miss Andy being on the show today. Where was he?" Outstanding work, Mick.
Obviously in Augusta National.
Apparently, on the plane. He says, "Joking aside, with my gaping jaw, I almost ran off the road hearing Andy talk about mindfulness, breathing, and meditation today. Although I don't actually think he mentioned the word meditation at any point during the show." Well, I did mention it to you. I think you remember that. Mick, though, says, "I too think it's a bit weak. He hasn't played any golf. He must be scared." So there you go. Thoughts?
Oh, not really. I mean, we've
silence is not great on an audio podcast, Andy Walker.
Yeah, I understand that, but look, we've been over this before. We've been down this road. There are various times that I've played a lot of golf. There's been various times where I haven't played golf. That's life, man.
There's been a number of times when you haven't played any golf. I'm trying to remember that time when you played a lot of golf. When exactly was that?
I played a fair bit of golf through February through to May last year until I got injured.
Okay.
Actually played some pretty good golf during that time.
Don't have to be so defensive. Like the Pilgrims are just saying their piece.
Well,
it's okay.
I feel sometimes
a little bit attacked
for just stuff coming up in life.
Okay.
Which is sort of what we started the show for.
It
is really to talk about the challenges of life and trying to fit golf in, but there are going to be times where other priorities come up.
No, that's all true. That's all true. But we did start the podcast to encourage ourselves to play more golf, not just to talk about the reasons why we can't.
That is true. That is true. But there still is going to be times where we're going to probably struggle a bit to play the golf that we want, or any golf at all.
There's a two-pronged side to that. There is definitely times when we struggle to play the golf that we want. Don't worry about that. You don't have to go back too many episodes to uncover some of that. But anyway, that's hard-hitting stuff. Thanks, Mick. Straight to the point, as per usual. The Pilgrims don't hold back and they rarely miss. So well played.
Good one.
Okay, I can tell you really happy with that.
Always great to hear from the Pilgrims.
It is. They're honest. They're always honest. So on that, probably one other thing that I would mention Pilgrim related is that we are now well into February. It's never an easy month name to say. And this means that the yearly championship is open season. So Pilgrims, get on board. If you haven't joined the yearly championship yet, quite simply go onto our Facebook page. You will find the information there for the Missing Links Golf Show podcast private group. Join that. We will approve it. And then once in, you can submit your scorecards. And to all the Pilgrims who have already registered their interest in the yearly championship, guys, get the scorecards coming in. Let's start to see some rounds of golf happening.
Have we actually had any submitted scores yet?
No, we haven't had any submitted scores yet, which I find shocking because I am aware that some of the Pilgrims that are involved in the yearly championship have had rounds of golf already. I feel that what they're doing is that they're holding back until they have a better round of golf before they submit a card.
Okay, fair enough.
You can submit more than one card per month and only your best one will count.
Yep.
You don't have to hold back, guys. Put it out there. Make it public knowledge. Anyway, I am yet to have a round of golf this month, I've got to admit. So that's a slight issue.
I wonder how the Pilgrims feel about that.
I'm not scared. I'm happy to play. Just, I'm a bit busy at the moment. There's a bit of stuff coming up in life that I've got to deal with.
Well, I've heard that before somewhere. Not sure where.
Stuff going on, like it's one of those things. It's a challenge that we all face. But anyway, we will get there. We will play golf. There will be rounds of golf this month to discuss, and hopefully they will be better than what was played in January. From my perspective, Andy Walker, they'll be better than what you played in January because it wasn't any.
Will it be better or worse?
You will.
It'll be more.
It depends on your yardstick, I suppose. It really does. But anyhow, that is that. Any updates from you before we kind of introduce tonight's topic, Andy Walker?
No, I did have a conversation with Ted from Mollymook, and he's pretty keen to get involved in the yearly championship. So
that's exciting.
Not sure if he's joined the Facebook group or not. I did put it out there that he needs to. So I
haven't seen it yet.
If you're listening, Ted, and you haven't joined the Facebook group and started submitting cards, then
get on it.
I don't know. Maybe it runs in the family.
Maybe he's scared. It's hard to know. It is hard to know. But anyway, tonight, what are we here to talk about tonight, Andy Walker? We've got some news. There is a bit of an update that we need to give to the Pilgrims. So I think why don't we
crack off with that just to get that out of the way, because I think there's a little bit to discuss in that, and then we can move on to something a bit more sort of positive with the rest of the year. So sort of don't want to give too much away, but why don't we start off with the news?
Yeah, well, I think the theme of this episode is the bombshell and the gift. I actually want to introduce the gift in there as well. We'll get to that. But Andy Walker, earlier in the week, I had a phone call from our good friends at Golf New South Wales.
Yep.
What I didn't realise at the time is that whilst doing some editing on the laptop, I had the record button down.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep.
So the phone call was recorded, but only one end of it, only my end of it. So you won't hear the voice on the other end of the phone. You'll only hear my voice. And I think it's worthwhile that we play that recording right now.
Okay.
And then we can unpack that for the Pilgrims. What are your thoughts?
Let's have a listen.
All right. This is what happened. Hi, this is Steve. I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you going? Yep, that's right. 8.4 at the moment, yep. What? 5.3? That's crazy. So what does that mean? Really? Oh, man. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you. You too. Okay, bye.
I got a fair idea what that means.
It's not good news.
No. Lots of entries.
Lots of entries.
Mm.
Pilgrims. This is the bombshell. This is a difficult moment to talk about, to be perfectly honest. So the phone call was this. The New South Wales Senior Amateur Championships, which had an entry cutoff of a handicap of 13.4. Right? So we put our entries in. Andy Walker at 2.0. My handicap sitting at 8.4, as you heard, was being confirmed by our friends at Golf New South Wales on the call. Due to the number of entries, which was nearing 250 entries for a 132 person field, that 13.4 cutoff has come down. Currently, it's not finished yet either, because entries are still not finished until the weekend coming. It's come down, and the cut line at the moment is at 5.3.
Wow.
It's extraordinary.
I'm a bit shocked, I have to say, and I thought you were like almost a dead set certainty
So did
to be
I.
in the field. Like I didn't think there was any way that you were going to miss out. So, am I safe?
I had a look at the list after the call, and I am blown away with how many low markers there are that is on the list. And it's, I mean, like a week ago, the cut line was sitting at around about 11.5.
Yeah.
And it's
just had this influx of
rocketed downwards.
Yeah, wow.
So, I mean, gee, you'd think at 2.0 you've got to be safe, surely, but yeah, shocking news, Andy Walker, shocking news.
Wow.
So
what does that mean for the foursomes? Did they mention anything about the foursomes, or are we still in the foursomes, or what? Where does that?
Still in at the moment,
right?
But there's another 4 days of entries to come in.
Yeah, right.
And and that's being judged on combined handicap. So we would be sitting at
aggregate,
at 10.4. So touch and go. It's just extraordinary.
Yeah. I didn't think there were that many golfers over 50 that would enter an event like that have the ability to take sort of time off work and the wanting to go and play in like a New South Wales Amateur Championship. I didn't think that was. I knew there was quite a lot out there. There's a lot of good golfers out there over 50, but I didn't think there were that many.
It's quite something. I'm surprised. I'm obviously disappointed. Like it's this was a couple of days ago now that I got that news, and like anything, I think you go through all of the ranges of emotions in reaction to that sort of news, from disbelief through to anger, annoyance, frustration. I've got to admit, embarrassment as well, Andy Walker, given that we started a podcast talking about playing in this tournament, which I then have not qualified for.
And I guess
surprise.
I mean, part of that as well, I think, is that we've been building up to this, right? And we've always said, you're turning 50 in a week or so, And this was going to be our first event. This was going to be the start of, the real part of the pilgrimage. This was the first event. This was what was going to kick it all off.
Yep.
Wow.
It's big news.
Devastating news, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm a bit lost for words.
Well, I think there's only one thing we can do, and that's essentially we just have to end the podcast right here and now and go and do something else.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's what the whole podcast was about, then
we're done.
We're done. All right. Well,
it's been fun. Good luck.
Nice.
Good chat.
Nice talking to the pilgrims.
Sorry to let you guys down.
Yeah. All right. Or here's a thought. Maybe it's just a setback, Andy Walker. You think? You don't want to just pack it all in and give up?
That's an interesting phrase, give up. I'm not sure that giving up is necessarily the right course of action. What do you think?
Well, I mean, we do talk about having a growth mindset. And yes, we're going to have all these setbacks at different stages. And it's not about the setbacks and the challenges. It's about what you do about it when you're faced with them.
It's a good point. All right, we're back, pilgrims. We're back. I'm still out of the tournament, though. That's not going to change. Unfortunately, it was not a joke. And it is really, really, really annoying news. It's disappointing news.
Yeah, sure.
But what can you do? I mean, I'm pretty amazed that the cut line's gone that low.
Yeah.
I think that I think it's probably driven by the fact that it's at Nelson Bay, which is such a beautiful location and a place that, a great holiday location and a really good resort area that plenty of people that probably didn't play last year have signed up for it, because I think the line was somewhere near 12 or something like that last year. So, but I guess, look, it just means a couple of things, and I think there's no getting away from the simple fact that 8.4 is just not good enough to guarantee entry into these tournaments.
Yeah, I agree, and certainly when we start getting into Australia-wide at age 55, I think it's
not going to cut the mustard.
Yeah, because I know David McCollum was talking about there's a tournament down at on the Mornington Peninsula that's really, really popular, and you've got to be down around 1 to be able to get into that. So I think there's a lot of really, really good golfers that have done reasonably well, sort of similar to what David McCollum has. He's done well in life and had the opportunity to retire a little bit early and are now keen to go and play golf. So, that's what we're up against. Yeah,
absolutely. No doubt about it. And I think this is one of those moments where, it's just a reminder that it's good to get into tournaments. It's great. That was what we wanted to do, and that's what we continue to want to do. And the other thing is as well that this is not the only tournament that we can, put ourselves down for this year. There are others on the list, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But I feel like, and the reason that I said before, the bombshell and the gift, okay, here's the two sides of the story. The bombshell obviously is the news. It's big news and it's disappointing news. But the gift side of it, I think, is this, and that is that and I look back on the country championships that we played at the back end of last year, which I got into as one of the higher handicapped players in the field. I really enjoyed the experience, and I felt like I played some of my best golf as a result of playing in a serious environment with other really good golfers. However, I was, even though we talked about it afterwards and, the desire to improve and wanting to compete in those, those elements, which is important, but to some respect, I think I was still just happy to be in the tournament and go and enjoy the experience and be involved. And I think that in this situation, I could have easily done the same thing and gone along and just been happy to be there and happy to take part and happy to be involved, and that would have been a bit of a win. But I was never going to compete, and I was never going to be likely to, to seriously threatening, a top 10 or a win.
Yep.
What this says is that the only people that should be playing have got to be in contention to potentially win it.
Mm.
It's not good enough to be there just to make up the numbers.
Yep. Well, I certainly think that it also, it gives you the opportunity to use the disappointment as motivation to keep practicing and to keep in the growth mindset, to keep searching for improvement, whether it be, still through the podcast, through listening to other podcasts, through reading audiobooks, still searching for, those little sort of, 1% improvements in your game, which over a fairly long period of time, if you consistently look at doing that, you will eventually get down to low single figures, and you won't have the disappointment like you're feeling at the moment of getting into these events.
100% agree. Funnily enough, the disappointment feeling didn't actually last as long as you might have expected, or as I probably expected. It got very quickly replaced with, that desire to plan and improve and put some other things in place to be in a better position next time. And it's actually the other thing around it as well is that it's forced a little bit of a reflection around not just focusing on the handicap number, but actually, and I think we've had this conversation before as well, is not just focusing on the handicap number, but genuinely focus on becoming a better golfer.
Yep.
And so that means working on specific skills, developing certain areas of the game, and trying to legitimately be a more consistent and a more like a high level player at the moment. Because and as we've talked in January and a couple of those rounds, sort of in December and January, I had some shockers, and so that's still there. That there would have been no fun taking that game to a tournament like this, particularly at a place like Pacific Dunes, which is very unforgiving.
Yep.
So there's quite a lot to be done at this point, which I've had a bit of a think about. So I probably do want to talk about a couple of things in terms of an improvement plan, Andy Walker, if we're ready to move in that direction. If you're over the shock. Are you over the shock?
I am over the shock. And look, I'm pleased that you have not let it get to you, because you could use it as an excuse to go, well, that's it, I'm not good enough, and to go in the other direction.
What's the point of that?
Well, I understand that, but it's a lot of people still do that. They get to the hard part, and while it's easy, it's all fun and having a laugh, and it's all fun and games. But when it gets hard and you have some setbacks, that's really going to be the benchmark, I guess, of where you are in your pilgrimage, and how much you want that growth and to be able to play in these tournaments. Because it's easy to turn around and go, well, I'm not good enough, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But the funny thing that happened was the first thing that I kind of went to start thinking about once I processed the information is the fact that pilgrimages, this one in particular, it's not a straight line. It's not.
No.
Everything doesn't just fall into place because you want it to. It's also not about, as we've talked about so many times, not about the destination, but definitely about the experiences and the lessons learned along the way. And that's where I think this is just one of those moments. And it would have been great. I mean, it would have been fantastic to go and play that tournament and have that week, and all of the things that would have gone with it, from just a good golf trip in a beautiful place to the championship dinners and the rounds at good courses in tournament conditions and everything there, which would have been a lot of fun. But at the same time, there's going to be more. There's going to be plenty more opportunities and plenty more tournaments, and I think that I should be focusing on that, not just worried about what didn't work out this time around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's absolutely the plan. The interesting thing
So,
though is, yeah, sorry, you go.
so I was gonna ask about this the improvement plan and where you see uh, your game and practice and plan going.
Yeah. So in previous times when we've looked at this situation, we've gone to the strokes gain data to, really highlight the bits of the game where we feel like we're doing well, let the data tell us where the gaps are and where the improvements need to come from. And that's been good. Absolutely. That's definitely highlighted a few areas that have needed to be improved. It's also sometimes, I think, highlighted a few areas where we've been surprised that certain things are either better than we thought they were or not as good as we thought they were. So that's useful. A lot of that probably hasn't changed a lot insofar as the areas of my game that need attention and need some improvement. But what I've actually done this time around is spend a little bit of time just reflecting on how I feel about my game, like genuinely, honestly reflecting on the certain parts that I think are reliable versus the parts that I feel are wobbly, and the bits that don't always perform when they need to. And that's not 100% supported by the strokes gain stats, but sometimes the stats can mislead a little bit from time to time. So where I got to on that is I have done a lot of work on improving ball striking over the last year. I've been really happy, generally speaking, with where my driver and off the tee performances have been.
Yep.
And I stand by that. Like, legitimately, I feel like two things with my driver. I feel like it's one of the more reliable clubs in my bag now. And the second thing is when it's a bit off, I'm feeling like I can do a lot more to bring it back to where it needs to be and kind of recalibrate during a round. So that I feel confident with, and I think needs to be maintained and isn't an area that needs necessarily remedial work. But the areas that I feel that I'm being let down, and I'm getting specific on this, is with my iron play. And I'm saying on this one, probably everything up to about a 9 iron, from 5 iron to about 9 iron. My ability to find the center of the club face consistently isn't good enough.
Yep.
And there's a pattern, and the misses is generally toe striking or fat contact. Now that's sort of interesting because from what I've read, usually toe ending the club and thin contact is the combination rather than toe and fat.
Yep.
It's usually fat and heel. So toe and fat's a bit unusual. So I've got to uncover what's driving that and what the issue is there. Because generally if it's toe and thin, it's because you're probably early extending and standing up through impact a little bit. But I don't think that's it.
Yep.
But I need to get better at finding the club face more consistently, because when I'm finding the center of the club face, I'm hitting really good shots, and I'm really happy with that. But my misses is losing distance through not finding the center of the club face, and generally toe hooking is the miss.
Yep. Because I was going to say hitting it thin as such is a lot better, as most golfers know, than hitting it fat. You can get away with hitting it thin, and that's probably more often what I do rather than hitting it fat. I don't hit a lot of shots fat, but I do just get a little bit skinny with some of my shots at times, but they still end up all right because obviously the thin shot, there's not a lot of difference between a good shot and a thin shot. So you sort of still get a bit of a result around the green by doing that. I mean, as we all know, my bad shot is the snap hook. So that's what I'm trying to get out of my game.
Yeah. I don't fat a lot, but it would be my miss more than thin. Toe striking is the is the big killer, and that creates a loss of distance.
Yeah.
Really is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting because you look at the greens in regulation data, and there's a lot of talk on various social media channels with Arcos data and shot scope data about the number of greens that amateurs miss short, and how the answer to that is generally take more club, and but it's not because like my distances are pretty spot on, and when I'm hitting the ball relatively properly, not even just flushing it, but relatively properly, like I'm hitting the back of greens or the center of greens, depending on where I'm aiming at. So that it's not about taking more club. It is about getting
commentary. I think that commentary is more skewed to the average golfer rather than single digit handicappers.
Oh, I think that's true.
I think a single digit handicapper is a good enough ball striker, especially if they know their distances, to be able to have the correct distance with the correct club. I don't think a single digit handicapper should be taking more club expecting to hit it poorly, which is sort of the whole point of that that commentary is around, okay, well, most the average golfer, most of them don't actually know how far they hit it. But secondly, most of the time they're not actually hitting the middle of the club. So, to take more club is probably better for them. And if they end up getting out of the center and flying the green every so often, well, so be it. But yeah, I think it's a completely different conversation for a single digit handicapper. And then again, when you get to low single figures as well, it's a different mindset. So I think that becomes obsolete at that point. True.
I mean, I have played plenty of golf with people who, for example, I might be hitting a 7-iron and I know that they hit a similar distance to me, and they'll say that they're pulling a 9-iron and they'll be 20 metres short of the green, and go, stand there incredulous and go, well, I don't understand how that happened. I usually hit my 9-iron 150 metres. Like, you don't. Yep. You hit your 9-iron 125 metres, which is exactly what you just did then.
Yeah. So, well done. You hit a good shot.
Yeah, great shot. Bad strategy. Great shot.
Yeah.
That's not my issue. My issue is very much around finding the center of the face. And so that's going to be a significant focus area. Like, if I can make that change, the number of greens in regulation is going to go much, much higher. I'm not really having an issue with left and right misses so much, outside of the odd toe hook, but really my ball flight's pretty straight. After the last coaching session with Jake around setup, and that's made a massive difference, but I've got to work through this finding the center of the face issue. So that's the big one. The other two, which are potentially easier fixes in some respects, one of them is short game, sort of around the greens. Last coaching session really helped in terms of wedges from, say, that 30 to 90 metre range. I feel a lot more comfortable with that, just with the setup tweak and a few little tips around that. But I'm still finding the more touch and feel shots around the green. I have good days and I have bad days, and I'm not reliable enough at getting up and down when I need to. So that's definitely one. And then the last one is speed control and putting has been dreadful lately. I know I can putt. I know I've got a pretty reliable stroke. I know I can, generally speaking, read the green not too badly. But my speed control stinks, and that's that's got to get sorted. So they're really, for me, they're the big three areas, and they're the bits that I feel I lack confidence in, and I have, concerns about in any given round, because they're always the issue areas. So, so that's the diagnosis.
So when you say speed control with putting, is that any particular distance, or is that just, all distances, even say short putts, you need to get a better speed?
Short putts not such a deal. It's probably for putts, say, outside about 15 feet.
Yep.
And generally my tendency, and this is interesting following on from what we talked about last week, right, with the habits process that you were talking about from golf beneath the surface, because my tendency is to leave putts short and significantly short on a bad day.
Yep.
Now, why is that? I do think there's got to be something which is in there from an anxiety mental response thing about three putting and therefore not steaming it past and having a long putt back. So it's negative, tentative, protected, guided, steery putting stroke at that distance. So
certainly
I think
when
it's mental more so than
the tendency, certainly when you're nervous. And probably not nervous. It's more leading to anxiety. When you're anxious over a putt, the tendency is, generally speaking, I'm generalizing here, but the general tendency is to leave it short. So that potentially could be part of the issue.
Yep. So I think that's what that is. I think that's mental. I think the first issue that we talked about with finding the center of the face, I think that's a technical thing. There's got to be some improvement in the swing to help that. I think the short game issues around the green could be a little bit technical, could also be a little bit mental. We need to delve into that a little bit more deeply. So I don't have all the answers on what we're going to do to remedy these situations, but they're my three focus areas for this year. And I want to get super clear on that. And really drill into those three things rather than worrying about going off on tangents about fixing other things and identifying other things and all the rest of it. They're my three areas that I really want to nail. And therefore, by the end of the year, I'd really like to be able to sit here at the end of the year and say I feel confident about finding the center of the club face with my irons. I feel confident with getting up and down around the greens, and I feel confident with getting to the hole with all my putts.
Yep.
So that's my goal. So
I haven't heard any like meditation or mental game as part of that.
Maybe, the funny thing is that might be part of the strategy for the putting issue.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and it's interesting because after reading, I'm still reading through Golf Beneath the Surface. I think there's a lot there. I think there's more there than what most people give credit for. I'm getting more convinced the more I read that certainly has to be a focus for the vast majority, if not all, golfers.
Yeah, it was really interesting, I thought, and we touched on it in the last episode, but we didn't delve into it in a lot of detail. And I think I want to reach out to Raymond Pryor and try and get him on the show. I think, Raymond, if you're listening, let us know, because I want to have this conversation, because there's that piece in there about changing the habits and looking at, the trigger event, your response, which in my case is tentative stroke leaving the putt short, because the brain's trying to protect me from steaming it past and having a long putt coming back and risking a three putt. And the result is that we're getting a three putt because we're leaving the first one too short.
Yep.
But that piece that he writes about of how to identify that behavior and then how to really assess, is it working for you? Is it not? Well, it's clearly not. But what can we do about that, and how can we address that, and how can we get rid of that? That's the tricky bit, and that's, I need to go back to that chapter and kind of reread that and do some of that work, because I just think that's the thing. It's not a technical issue on putting. Like I can hit a putt where I want to hit it. I can roll it on the line. And I know that like when I'm on the practice putting green, my distance control can be perfect.
Yep.
So that's not the issue. The ability to do it is not the issue. Yeah. The ability to do it when you need to during a round under pressure, that's the issue.
Yeah. Well, that's not a physical skill. That is a mental skill.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I only this morning I had another session with Paul Salter, and we were talking about, because I haven't done a lot of sort of mental work over the past sort of weeks, 2 weeks, just obviously moving and all the rest. But I was talking to Paul about the fact that I'm now that I'm getting settled in the new house, I want to start working on some consistency and setting up a framework with which to be able to, fit my golf practice in. And I was, I used the example of, my fitness work and the fact that I know that, if I'm doing fitness work 3 to 4 times a week, then, that's going to lead to results. Whereas if I only do one every 2 weeks, that's almost a waste of space. So I said to Paul, that's what I want, where I want to be with, whether it be meditation, mindfulness, awareness, I want to be able to spend, 4, maybe 5 times a week just sitting, working on sort of the mindfulness awareness and whatever technique that I'm using. Could be breath work. We talked about breath work. And he said, actually, you should be doing it 7 days a week. He said, and not necessarily 15 or 20 minutes. He said you can only you only really need to do 1 or 2 minutes on a couple of days. If you're doing, say, 4 or 5 days of, 15, 20 minutes, your busy days or the days that you maybe want to not do as much, just do a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Anyone can spend 2 or 3 minutes, find 2 or 3 minutes in a day to be able to do a little bit of breath work and a little bit of mindfulness training. And I went, that's
fair.
That's probably true. Even just, true. Before bed, you can just sit there, before you jump into bed and just do, or even as you're going to sleep, you just do a little bit of breath work and mindfulness training.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's a bit to do. That.
So I think consistency is going to be part of it, and that's going to be what I work on. I know the skills that I want to develop and the areas I want to develop. Obviously, for me, it's making sure or getting my downswing plane lower than my backswing plane. And that's a combination of being more upright in my backswing and also shallowing the club a little bit more. The big thing for me is the mental side, and that's an area that I feel like a lot of the time I'm not quiet enough. My mind isn't quiet enough on the golf course, and I think that's sort of where the mindfulness training is really going to be a big benefit.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Yeah. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. So there's a lot there. Definitely a lot there.
So definitely a bit to unpack anyway as the weeks go by. But look, the good news, Andy Walker, you're still in the field for the New South Wales Senior Amateur Championship. So
great.
That is
and
exciting.
we're still in the foursomes.
We're still in the foursomes. That's exciting.
We can at least be part of the environment.
I think that would be amazing. Even just to get that taste and playing that event would be a lot of fun. So fingers crossed that we stay in that field.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's at Pacific Dunes, yeah?
Pacific Dunes. That's on the Monday. That's right.
Okay.
So
nice.
Stay tuned on that one.
Yeah. But look, I think there's, when you're talking about the rest of the year, I think that there's a lot that we can still aim for. And we've sort of briefly talked about this sort of outside of recording, but at this stage I've got management approval to be able to play in the Macquarie Cup in April. I've got the Duntry Seniors in early May, and I've got the Camden Seniors in late May. So yeah, obviously the New South Wales Senior Amateur, but then there's 3 other events that I've got a free run at playing in. So they're good. I think that's a pretty good start to the year in combination with doing the work that I need to on my game and doing a fair bit of work in the high performance center. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. Later in the year, and I've started to look, and I haven't had a really close look. I've just sort of picked out a few events that I'm really keen to have a crack at if I feel as though my game's at a point where I can. So apart from the senior events, I mean, August, September, well, certainly late August, and then through September was pretty busy from a senior amateur perspective. So I noticed that Mollymook has a senior amateur in August. So I'm keen to go down to Mollymook, my old stomping ground, to have a crack. So the Newcastle Hunter Senior Classic, which I missed because I was injured last year, I'm keen to have a crack at that. Then Glenmore, Magenta, Coimbra, Carnarvon and Wyong, that's sort of through late August and September. The New South Wales Country Championships, I noticed, is in September this year, the 20th and 21st of September.
Okay.
So
do we know where?
No, I didn't. I didn't see where. I just saw the dates, and it wasn't open yet. So I don't know if they've finalised where it's going to be. But then again, I'm pretty keen to try and have a crack at the New South Wales Senior Open. I think that's going to be a really big goal for me. But then I saw and I thought this would be a really interesting one. There's the regional qualifying for the New South Wales Open.
Oh yeah.
And there's a number of events in the calendar where you can have the opportunity to qualify for the New South Wales Open. So the New South Wales Open Pilgrims, Cam Smith played in the New South Wales Open last year. So this is a full open pro event. So I'm really keen to actually, test my game at that level as well,
I think so.
I go.
So a couple of things on that. Firstly, the country championships that we played last year was a qualifying event for the New South Wales Open, you might recall.
Yes, yeah.
It was the week before. It was literally the weekend before the New South Wales Open started on the Thursday.
Top two, wasn't it?
It was top two, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there is a New South Wales Open qualifier generally each year in Dubbo.
Yes. I didn't see it in Dubbo though. I saw one in Wollongong. I saw one down at Catalina, down at Bateman's Bay.
Right.
I didn't see one at Dubbo though.
The last few years, there's definitely been one at Dubbo. I would expect that there will be one again this year.
Okay, I'll have to check that when we jump off the mics just to see where it is.
Yeah. So there generally is one. As a matter of fact, I played in the Pro-Am for it this year, just gone. There is generally a women's one as well in Dubbo. They do a bit of a circuit. They do Dubbo. They do generally Duntry League. Bathurst sometimes as well around that region. So, they're for sure there's some opportunities. Absolutely. Yep. So there's quite a lot still to put on the calendar for this year. This is a little bit of a setback with this tournament, but it's by no means the end of tournament play for us for this year.
Yeah, no, not even remotely close. So I think that it's still setting up to be a very exciting year and a very full year from a golf calendar perspective.
Absolutely. Well, that's exciting. New South Wales Open, imagine that. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I know. How good would that be? Have you done any more research into the left-handers, the Australian left-handers?
No, I haven't. I will. That is such a good reminder. I do need to check that out because that could be fun. Yeah. And look, I have no doubt that you would have a ball. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Something like that.
Absolutely.
That'd be a great event to come back and have a chat about and see how you went and all the rest.
Yeah, leave that one with me.
Yeah, so I reckon you need to have that on your list and in the calendar.
It'll be on the list. I mean, out of that list that you just rattled off there's a few that I've got my eye on without a doubt. I mean, the Macquarie Cup for sure. That's something that I would want to have another crack at this year. The Duntry League Seniors in Orange absolutely will be on my list. The Country Championships potentially on the list. It's very close to my daughter's birthday, so that could be challenging. But we will see how that all pans out.
Yeah. The other thing as well is that I'm travelling to Malaysia in September, so that might throw a bit of a spanner in the works as well. So I haven't sort of lined up what the dates are yet, but I know that I've got a trip over to Malaysia.
Well, I think we'll probably also have a look at where it is and make a decision accordingly. But it was a great event last year. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. A lot of fun.
So there's definitely a few there, and I think the ones that you talked about in the back end of the year, there's probably a few that I'd have a crack at out of that list as well. So I think, I'd like to try and have a go at 5 tournaments this year.
Yep.
I think that'd be a good list.
Yep.
And hopefully as we move along, really make some progress on those 3 key areas that we talked about before. That's a big focus. And I think the strategy from here is there needs to be a little bit more coaching. I need to engage Jake on, certainly on the club face, accessing the center of the club face point. Probably that mental side around the putting is probably a big one.
Yeah.
Trying to unlock that a little bit, just trying to delve into that a bit more.
I think you would get significant value out of something like that.
So we'll have a look at that. There's definitely a few tangible outcomes. And in some ways, that's the gift. That's the good thing that's come out of this situation. It's not an opportunity to say, yep, near enough remains good enough for another 6 or 12 months. It's the kick in the pants that's required to have an honest, long, hard look in the mirror and try and address some of these issues that have always been floating around that we haven't quite got to.
Yeah.
So I think from that point of view, it's positive.
Well, also, in the immortal words of Brooks Koepka, you've just got to play better.
Just get better. It's that simple. It's so true, though.
It is. Like, you can't get around it. Like it's
bottom line, that's what it is. If you're not good enough, you're just not good enough. Play better. You got to get better. Get good enough. Like, it's not. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's legitimately what it is. Thanks, Brooks. Good advice. Maybe share how to do that. I don't know, but But at the end of the day, it needs to happen. Results have got to get better. Scores have got to get better. Skills have got to get better.
For sure. There's
no way around it.
Nope. Got to do the hard yards. That's it. End of story. Full stop. And exclamation mark, I think.
Highlighter. Get the highlighter out.
Yep.
So, so that's the story, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're at. There's a mountain to climb. There's a lot to do. But Andy Walker, we will certainly all be there cheering you on for the New South Wales Senior Amateur. Maybe not there, but definitely cheering you on.
In spirit.
Yeah, which is exciting. And fingers crossed for the foursomes. If we get in the foursomes, I think that will be a lot of fun either way.
Yeah, I think so. And I'd like to have another look at, well, both courses really. I mean, I've played Pacific Dunes a few times and I've played, Nelson Bay a fair bit. And I'm assuming that we'll be playing 1 to 18 rather than the 19 to 27.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun. I like both golf courses, and I've generally played quite well at Pacific Dunes, and I've generally played fairly poorly at Nelson Bay. However, my experiences at Nelson Bay, I've been severely hampered by late night and
poor preparation.
A few too many lubricating beverages the night before.
Poor preparation. I, on the other hand, have generally played well at Nelson Bay and poorly at Pacific Dunes. So
yeah,
there you go. Read into that whatever you will.
Well, hopefully in the foursomes.
I know.
That's not going to be the case.
Sorry, Andy.
Otherwise, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, and a longer drive afterwards. No, we'll be fine. It'll be all good. All right, Andy Walker. Any other major topics of discussion for this evening?
No, I think we've covered a lot, and there's plenty to look back at and I think develop. And I think in the coming weeks we'll have a bit more of a penned in plan rather than sort of just penciling things in and trying to work out where we sit. And I think we do need to really just highlight some not negotiable events. Just
sure.
to say, you know what, that these are the definites, and the other ones, let's see if we can fit them in.
For sure. I think that's a good plan. Yep. Stay tuned, Pilgrims. There's a lot of golf coming your way in 2025, and I hope there's a lot of golf from you coming our way in 2025. Yes. So, once again, get those scorecards in. Can't wait to start to see how things go. And if you haven't seen the update on the Facebook page, we did make an addendum to the winter rule for people who cannot get on a course due to the weather in their particular part of the world. And that is that simulator league rounds will be accepted on the proviso that you can't play outdoors and that you have a legitimate simulator handicap, because it's usually a few strokes less than your outdoor handicap. So if you meet that criteria and you're playing in an indoor league, not just your own setup in your garage where you can tweak the altitude and hit it 400 metres, but you do need to be playing in something which is in some way controlled and keeps the burglary to a minimum. But I think that's a good rule, because there are a few people, certainly in the northern part of the States and into Canada, who have reached out and said that they really struggle in, say January, February to get a card in.
Yep.
Because of the weather.
Fair
So there's that. And again, reminder, if you're not in the comp, shoot us a message, jump on the Facebook page, send us an email. That's fine. We'll check it out. We'll help you out. Life is good.
Sounds good.
On that note, Andy Walker, what else should we do?
I think there's only one thing left to do.
Which,
that is
what would that be?
Rock out, pilgrims.
Thanks for listening to us today. We love hearing from our pilgrims, so please reach out to us through any of the links in the show notes. We know golf is hard, so we hope we can help you shoot better scores and inspire you to keep trying. Rock on, pilgrims.